Hello, beautiful souls. I have just finished being the guest priestess astrologer for the Glastonbury Goddess Temple full moon ceremony. So this is the reason why I have still got my circle of stars on and one of my ceremonial dresses. So we have a full moon in Scorpio tomorrow, the 12th of May, 22 degrees of Scorpio. And the energy is very much building. It's already starting to become incredibly intense at the moment. So let's just quickly look at the archetype of Scorpio. So Scorpio, we see her as the alchemist of our soul. We see her as the dark witch, the sorceress. She's incredibly bewitching. She teaches us how to transform poison into medicine, and she really is all about shedding and letting go. She is the death before the rebirth, and she strips away the falsehood and the illusion so that we can see all that the truth of all that we are, and often invites us to see our shadow sister self. And at this full moon, she may be bringing up for us fears and obsessions which are buried in our subconscious, and she's really asking us to look at those fears, to look at those desires, and to allow ourselves to shed, to let go, to be stripped back so that we can be reborn a lot stronger and a lot wiser than we were before. This is one of my favourite moons of the year. However, I will caveat that because I do have a lot of Scorpio placements and I have already had a taste of this full moon energy, which I have to say was really powerful and did actually knock me off my feet as well. So while it's one of my favorite moons, it is a deeply intense and incredibly transformational. So at the moment, Sol, our sun, is in Taurus. Taurus isn't always a fan of change, quite stagnant, very stubborn, wants to keep its creature comforts. But this is the full moon, which is really coming in to shake us up, to really remind us in this spring energy that there is still the shadow that needs dealing with, and it still reminds us of that dark half of the year. So we're going to be really asked to face a lot of things which are going to transform ourselves and our relationships. Of course, this will all affect us personally depending on what planets, what house 22 degrees of Scorpio falls into. But there are some very collective themes which we are going to experience. So we'll all experience this differently, but as a collective, we could really see this playing out. So full moons are always accumulation. It's always bringing to light or to the head a matter which needs dealing with, shedding light on something. And with this being a really intense moon, it might even feel a little bit destructive than anything. And for me, I'm really feeling this particularly in relationships. Anything that's piled up, issues that have been piled up that haven't been dealt with, is going to really lead to these major turning points. These issues now need dealing with. They're coming to the fore. Feels a little bit kind of explosive potentially. And it's going to really ask us to use this full moon as a turning point. But it's also going to highlight to us, where does our true loyalty lay for us personally, but also in the collective? What are the issues that you are going to die on a hill for? Things to think about around this full moon. What are your boundaries? What is your heart-led truth? Who and what do you need to, excuse me, obviously something that I need to let go of. Who and what do you need to let go of? Right, have a quick drink of water. We've also got Mercuria. Mercury, the planet of communication, square to Plutonia, Pluto, the dark goddess of transformation. And this for me is a real energy of conflict. It's all about conflict around our communication. So there are going to be a lot of different viewpoints that are going to be really tricky to resolve. So I'm thinking at this moment political, but I am also thinking on a social level, perhaps also in our partnerships as well. what I'd really encourage you to do is to keep away from the fire of the debate, to really tread carefully to avoid these conversations around the full moon, because not just you, everyone else is going to be very emotional, very, very sensitive. So what we want to do is not have as much drama. Okay, so we actively want to avoid triggering topics. If we can, for a short period of time, stand in your truth, reclaim your sovereignty. But if you can't avoid them, really try and remain neutral. Drop into your heart space, breathe, ground your energy. And if it's part of your practice, as it is mine, be in prayer. Be in that space where you are just holding those energies. If you have invocations or mantras that you chant, that you say, these are the things that you're going to have to do to stop yourself being activated and sparks of fire adding to what could be a potentially quite a turbulent topic. I also feel there's going to be a lot of revelations personally and on a collective level. So these revelations may be quite harsh. Taurus, the sun in Taurus wants us to play it safe. What is a very self-restricting pattern that you have got, and the full moon is going to come in and break that. This is all about taking control of yourself. This is about radical self-responsibility. Have responsibility for what you can control. Be empowered. And know that there are some things that you can't control, but you can control yourself. You can control your emotions, okay? And know that once you take radical self-responsibility, you are really, really empowered. It may feel super messy, but evolution is messy. The more that we can get to grips with the messy and accept those messy emotions, the more that we are going to grow and evolve. And if you're anything like me, I have a lot of Scorpio placements. I have Chiron in Taurus. There has been a lot of messy emotions already coming up, and the moon is not even full yet. We've also got Urania conjunct to the sun in Taurus. This for me feels a very stormy energy. Taurus highlights this need for stability. So the sun is shining a light on our stability. Urania, she is the planet of change, the planet of rebellion. It's a real feel of needing to balance and blend the two, but these lead to some really important questions. Who and what is shaping your reality? Who and what is bringing chaos or unhealthy distractions to you and your reality? Who and what is actually a positive influence on you? Who is a negative influence on you? And are you going to claim your sovereignty, or are you going to give it away? Really bringing up for me a lot this full moon around communications, around relationships, around radical self-responsibility and stepping into your own sovereignty. Like I say, we'll all experience these very differently depending on what planetary placements and what house that 22 degrees of Scorpio falls into. If you know your chart, you can check. If you don't know your chart, you could always book a reading with me and we can go through those essences and what is affecting you. But we will all experience this. It feels very emotional, and the advice I always give is if you have the guts to do the shadow work, to sit in that place of discomfort and work through it, you are going to allow your soul to evolve and to grow. Bypassing yourself or finding something to do which is going to distract you means just the issues begin to pile up and pile up and pile up, and it becomes harder and harder to face our own shadow. Whether we are priestesses, light workers, star seeds, whatever you regard yourself as, we must always dance with shadow when she arrives. We are in a planet of duality, and not doing the shadow work can be deeply detrimental to yourself if you continue to stick a sticking plaster covered in glitter over what really needs to be dealt with. So I enjoy and adore working with the shadow. So if you don't know your chart, you can book a birth chart reading with me. If you're really interested in diving into your shadow and being supported, I also do one-to-one spiritual mentoring, which we can really dive into the essence to allow yourself to be rebirthed as the best version of yourself. If you're interested, just drop me a DM. If I'm organized, the links will be below. So I'm wishing you a very, very happy full moon in Scorpio. Whilst it may be intense and turbulent, remember this too will pass. I am sending you so much love. Take care.